This is the Beige and the Bold, and today we are watching Conundrum. I'm Van Velding, and I have seen this episode 17 times.
And I'm Derek, and I've seen this episode 1 time.
You ready?
Yep.
3, 2, 1, engage. You note that this episode starts with a game of three-dimensional chess between a logical, rational character and an emotional character.
Are those...
And just like...
Good?
Just like in the second pilot of the original series of Star Trek, the emotional, intuitive character wins. It's just like Kirk and Spock opening up the original series.
Yeah. Are there actual rules? Because there are
actual rules.
Okay, because I was about to say I imagine they don't have rules at this point in time, but this is probably just like acting where they're like, oh, pick a random thing and do a random thing.
That at this point, maybe not. They may actually be playing by the rules in this one.
Oh, okay.
Because it's far enough along that the fandom has ossified.
Yeah, but it's really annoying to me when she's like, "Oh, games about chess is about intuition." No, it's not. No, it's not.
Yeah, no,
it's about mathematical patterns. You motherfucker.
It's what they call a perfect knowledge game. Like she doesn't have any event cards in her hand.
Right.
Like everything's there. Data can see all the possibilities.
Right.
Like it's sort of bullshit that she's winning, but whatever. It's great.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I think you can do other. Like a good game for this would be poker. Like, hey, look, I did all the statistics, and I had the highest probability of winning, but you still won. It's like, yeah, because I went with my gut. Like that. That's a good statistics versus intuition game because there's some randomness. But as you say, there are just a whole bunch of patterns in chess.
Yeah, you're right. That would be a much better game for these characters to play. Honestly.
I didn't know I thought she was a gymnast at first. Like this I guess. I didn't know if she was like an actual crewman or if she was just like a child of a crewman.
Yeah, the next generation has like a bad tendency to have people wear their Starfleet uniforms even when they're off duty. They do have some civilian clothes. They're generally terrible, which is probably why everyone continues wearing the uniforms all the time. No, she is a crewman. She is just, she was hanging out in the holodeck and she hurt herself, so...
Yeah, so I mean, she's, this doctor has some kind of weird bedside manner. It's like, oh yeah, I remember when you hurt it yourself last time. It was that program, right? I'm going to make another note in your chart to give you some sass about it when you show up again.
She knows her, and she's giving her recommendations to be more careful. And these two...
Oh man,
I expect you to recognize most of these characters, but not Ro.
Yes, I do not recognize Ro. I mean, I recognize Riker. I know that the internet is obsessed with how he mounts and dismounts chairs.
Yeah, I could go on about that. Negatively. So yeah, no, these guys, this is basically Star Trek The Next Generation, Season 5, Episode 14, just already.
Yeah, well, okay, yeah.
Because this is the whole B-plot, right?
Well, I mean, I guess so. Like, yeah, they definitely have the tension, and like, she's like... they're supposed to be working together. She's like, oh, you can't just do what you want because you know better. It's like, but I know better. And it's like, well, no, you can't know better because rules, regulations. And it's like, but F your rules and regulations. Like, oh, you're so gonna hear about this when we get home in bed tomorrow tonight.
Yeah. So, and their relationship is antagonistic from the very start.
One thing I'm curious about, like, here they have this ship, right? Like, he says, like, hey, it doesn't match any class or configuration that we know of. So, like, how, does that happen in real life? Like, does the Navy like say, "Hey, look, we identify ships based off like sight of the configuration and stuff"?
It takes us so long to make ships. Anyone to make ships, we're
kind of like,
we get that. We're off the coast of China. It's probably a Chinese ship. Oh, look at that Chinese flag. So
dun 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 dun.
I mean, and I'm convinced. I am positively convinced. That they're I love that shrug. Where he's like, I tried to be diplomatic.
I tried. I'm sitting here on like a doomsday weapon. I'm trying to be diplomatic. Like I could just blow up entire solar systems if I wanted.
Yeah. So, but no, I'm convinced their search function doesn't work.
Ever?
Like on their computers, like they're using Bing. And they're like, we've never seen this ship before. It's like, you have fought this ship 2 times. That's a model from season 2.
You shouldn't even query this. You should know it from memory.
This was in the original series. It's astounding they don't know things sometimes. Yeah. But whatever, it's the plot. So I like the shaky cam here.
Yeah, like it's a nice little flourish. It's like the background music that you don't recognize it until it's pointed out, but once you do, you realize, oh wow, yeah, that is good.
It's a really clever thing to do.
Oh yeah, because it subconsciously makes you uncertain about everything else. I don't know when this technique was pioneered, but I think it was a horror movie.
Oh well, yeah, whatever. So the history of moving a camera slightly. I don't know.
Yeah.
I chose this episode for a couple of good reasons. One, they specifically talk about rank. You can see everybody's rank on their collars.
Yeah.
See, Picard's got 4 because he's the captain.
Oh.
Riker's got 3. They're not showing it now. And then Ro has 1. She's an ensign, and she's an ensign that's chewing out a captain.
Yeah, no, right? So, like, how does she not get push-ups or something?
I know. Sadly,
push. We're in a turbo lift. Push.
Just go down, and then whenever we go back up again, you got to do more because it's more weight.
Exactly.
So they're called up and downs, but in space.
Up and downs. That's good.
So is that not the name of an exercise you would have to do in boot camp?
No, yeah, up and downs for sure.
It's completely accurate to the naming conventions of boot camp.
Yes.
So we kind of miss it, but that's MacDuff, another character you may not recognize instantly. The Next Generation had like a lot of characters who just sort of hang around, like long-running supporting characters that are around for a couple episodes.
Yeah, like we had like that extra dude in the original series, right? There was just like so many different extras. They just kept bringing back.
Lieutenant Leslie,
yes.
Lieutenant Riley, who came back twice, and then there was one more, and I'm forgetting his name. I'm sorry.
Leslie was the one I was thinking of.
Anyway, yeah. So you do have that in the Next Generation. So you have, MacDuff.
But like MacDuff is like a solid B character, then, right?
Yeah.
Or
he
doesn't really
he's
kind of like a Todd. He's kind of like the Todd.
People like the Todd more than they like MacDuff. Obviously. The fandom aren't big MacDuff fans.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of other characters who were similarly tepidly met as MacDuff, but
what about Whoopi Goldberg? Is Whoopi? I guess. I know she.
You weren't allowed to know about Whoopi Goldberg yet.
Okay, I've seen a picture. Like I've seen a picture, and B, it was one of the episodes. Like I've walked in, my parents watching, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's Whoopi Goldberg. I know you from like Jumpin' Jack Flash, Sister Act 1 and 2.
She fought to be on the series, and we will talk about that in season 2 when her character shows up.
Oh, okay.
So she's not around in this episode because she is a magical black woman, and you can't take her memories away.
Oh, okay.
So she's not here.
Oh, okay.
So,
whoa, really?
That's she's the trope. She's a great character. Okay. People love Guy.
Oh, okay.
But
cool.
Let's move on. Let's move on.
Yeah.
We'll talk. We got plenty of time. So this is like a tabula rasa episode where you strip away the pretense and you take everyone down to the core of their characters.
Right.
Look at how warily these two approach each other.
I feel like Worf was about to like slap, like about to hurt him. Like he's like, "Don't touch my console. You're getting too close to my console."
Yeah, that's good. Sound like a Rick and Morty sketch, but so. In the original series, their second episode, everyone got drunk on space virus. And you do the same thing, basically.
Okay.
And you can't do that for a second time.
Yeah.
So Farpoint doesn't get to the core of the characters. It's more of a thesis on the series. But so we have this. I chose this episode because 1, gaslighting possibilities, and 2, they talk about a lot of the elements of the setting, like the ranks and the characters and stuff.
I like how like Worf is like, hey, whoa, not so fast. I am similarly decorated. I could be the captain as well.
Yeah, and you can see Picard's like, I don't care about authority.
Yeah,
I just care about focusing on what we need to do, prioritizing things, organizing.
I like that. It's kind of like that show don't tell. I'm not telling you I'm a captain. I'm acting like a captain.
Exactly. And this is a collaborative effort to gain information and reach a logical conclusion,
right?
To solve a mystery and to achieve objectives, and that is a very TNG thing.
Yeah, it's cool, and like that's kind of what I like. To me, that's good sci-fi because it's usually kind of like an environmental conflict that you need a group to help resolve. I'm thinking of like Aliens, or even Predator. Predator, I know it's eventually a mano fight, but before you get to that mano fight, it's like a group against one kind of thing. And they're trying to figure out what the hell's going on. Yeah,
and they have different skills to leverage.
Right.
So, and because it's basically a horror movie.
Right.
Everybody does die. But because this is a lot of TNG episodes are mystery episodes, they do lose a little bit on the repetition.
Yeah.
God, look at that cluster of management moving in on Jordan. Efficiency down to 80%.
That is like 4 people looking over this dude's shoulder. He's got to be on point. It's like Picard's micromanaging Geordi, Ro's micromanaging Picard, Riker's micromanaging Ro, and MacDuff is like further micromanaging everyone, like just generally.
he's providing management.
Some meta management going on.
Yeah, you'll notice that the colors are different from the original series too. Used to be Command was kind of the mustard color that Geordi's wearing, and then Engineering and Security would wear the red that Picard and
you would think like the whole red shirts thing. It's like, wait a minute, all these guys are gonna die. I thought they were like they got top billing.
That's flipped. They're now the most valuable eggs in the basket. So
that's got to be a weird thing, huh? Like if you're prone to paranoia, and like you find yourself in a room, you don't know who you are, and then a voice says, "Hey, listen, this is ship wide. Everyone, chill out. Don't move." And you're like, "What if that's not true? Like, what if by not moving, I'm making myself worse?"
Yeah, they do discuss those sorts of debates in The Next Generation. But this lady, by the way, she's a guest star. She's not a regular. Her name is Liz Vassy. You might recognize her as one of the lab rats from CSI, the one who had an inexplicable relationship with Hodges.
No, I do not watch CSI. Is she the one with the pigtails? Please tell me no.
No, she's supporting cast on CSI. Okay. So, if you love Hodges as I love Hodges, you will recognize her in the rest of the B cast.
Oh, okay.
So, but TNG has a lot of guest stars that you will recognize from somewhere.
Well, that's good, because like I remember, I didn't watch CSI, but I've watched other episodes of things, and so like I'm hoping to be able to recognize some, like, hey, that guy.
Yeah. Seeing everyone's doing stuff and pointing at things.
Look how tall he is. He's like, he's got like jut out his butt just to like get in a comfortable looking over her shoulder stance.
Dude, Jonathan Frakes, who plays Will Riker, and Michael Dorn, who play Worf, are both 6'4".
Yeah.
Michelle Forbes is 5'9". She's pretty tall for a lady.
Yeah.
So, they got a lot of dudes. I mean, Patrick Stewart looks positively tiny next to these guys. So
MacDuff and Worf making battle plans.
Yeah. I mean, he's played by Eric Anderson. I don't know how tall he is, but he is kind of an aggressive dick because he and Ro are both brought on because they're sort of evasive, right?
Yeah.
There's a crystalline entity thing, which is a whole thing, and MacDuff wants to kill it earlier in this season. You see Ro obviously has conflicts with Riker.
Yeah.
So it's always just to make a little more conflict. Because in TNG, Roddenberry said, hey, look, I don't want these people to conflict with each other. And that was a mistake from the Great Bird of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
I think you need conflict between people to show that differing points of view can have conflict and still resolve.
Right. And that's a good point, because I do think that that it's pretty common, like, for people at a job, like, someone will piss you off one week, that doesn't change your job role. Like, you still got to get stuff done.
Yeah, well, people disagreeing with you is not an indictment of your character. It just means they disagree.
Yeah.
And that's something that I think is really important that Ro brings to the table. Like, it is a little personal with Ro.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. Spoilers, DS9 does it better. So, because the lack of conflict was written in here.
Yeah.
So it's very hard to get past that.
Yeah, and it definitely, from that perspective, it does seem... I could see how it would look like a bit sterile, because there's like some humanity that's kind of washed away.
Yeah, we've called this the beige and the bold for very good reasons. Thematically and artistically, it just fits.
Yeah, no, it fits.
That's it's the captain's laptop, by the way. There's no Steve Jobs in the Star Trek universe, obviously.
Yeah. So small. Look at that screen, man. What are you running? Like 4 pixels, 5 pixels?
It's like 4 inches thick. It's terrible. We are just going to continue to make fun of this technology.
My laptop's got 480 DPI.
Yeah. Just like with the original series, we're going to go ahead and assume that everything is hardened against space. And
yeah.
So
it's essentially the BlackBerry of laptops.
It's just, it would be great if they had like a million little buttons under it that you're supposed to press. Mm.
Man, I don't know. Does Worf ever have like a I'm happy to see you face? Like his face, just every time he looks at people, it's like, I'm gonna hit you.
I'll be honest. The dude is like in 11 seasons of Star Trek and 4 movies, and he smiles less than Spock. Jeez. That's not per minute of screen time. That's just less than Spock total.
Yeah.
So, yeah. He's a pretty dour character, and there's a lot to unpack with that.
Yeah.
But no one is more dedicated than Worf. Worf works hard at his job, and he's very hard on himself whenever he can't do it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's a virtue or a flaw or whatever. It's treated differently.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and here that sort of locked on attitude towards things works against him. I mean, it makes him seem good for command.
He seems a little flustered here. He's like, no, you should be talking to me, not him.
Right, because he's losing control of the situation because of Picard's natural command aura.
Yeah, yeah.
Which, it does kind of feel like the Captain Kirk stuff, where Captain Kirk is just like the bee's knees.
Well, I mean, to me, it just kind of feels like it's like how you're built. Like it's part of the episode because of how, like he's just, he wants things to be resolved. He wants everyone to be okay. And so he tries to just help figure out the problem. Now, who knows off screen if Dorn's like, listen, you're being insubordinate. He's like, how are we insubordinate? I'm a captain. We're at the very least peers.
Yeah.
It is kind of weird though, like how they were like fighting and now she's kind of all coy with like her hands behind her, that kind of jazz.
Yeah, they're flirting here. They bring this relationship. They're working together on the bridge a little bit.
Yeah. And
now they're talking about stuff and he's like, you use the holodecks for stuff, and she's like, oh, for ladies? I don't think you need a holodeck to get ladies. And she's like, because ladies would be interested.
I don't know if you know. The reason why I know that is because I'm a lady.
Yeah. And I like that. It's some of the more... It is bar none the most natural flirting in Star Trek The Next Generation. Unless you cringed. Did you cringe?
No, I didn't cringe at all. It was just...
There you go. It's the best flirting in The Next Generation.
Like, what was he doing down there? Like, he just pops up. Like, hey, guys, anyone need a drink?
Look, he's 1/4 automatic door on his dad's side. He's empathic. He knows about drama.
Yeah. Yeah. He knows when to say a line, when not to say a line.
Exactly. He's like, I'm a quarter automatic door. I think I gotta get below the bar now for the dramatic review.
Hi guys, I'm the bartender.
And of course, she's a quarter betazoid, and these two have a deep emotional history. So she's a half betazoid.
So what's like her thing? Like, why is she like she doesn't? She looks like a human. Like, so, like
her eyes are all black. Look at her eyes.
Oh, okay.
So
I had
her mom is a beta Z.
That didn't track with me for a second. Okay.
Yeah, some humans have black eyes, but apparently it's distinctive in the Star Trek universe.
Okay.
So her mom is a betazoid from Beta Z. They're 100% telepathic.
Say that 6 times fast.
Her dad, as someone will tell you, was a Starfleet officer. So he's human.
Well, no, but
she's half telepathic.
We see Starfleet officers that are not human. How do you know?
I'm making fun of TG. So anyway, her dad was human. Her mom's Beta Z. So she's half Beta Z and she's empathic rather than telepathic.
It's kind of weird, like when they you just hear like in Worf's mind, like, oh man, damn.
Yeah, dag yo. But hey,
like his genetic drive to be like the top of the pecking order.
Yeah. But hey, for he was captain for a few minutes. I think everybody gets to command the Enterprise during this series.
Oh really?
Oh yeah.
What about not Joss Whedon? What's his name?
Okay, not Joss Whedon. You got me there.
Wheaton.
Fine. All right.
Wheaton.
Everybody but Joss Whedon gets to command the Enterprise.
Will Wheaton. I'm not great with names.
Fair point.
He's a kid. He's a kid, right?
Yeah, he's a kid. He doesn't get to sit in the captain's. He does not get to command the Enterprise.
Yeah.
So, fair enough. Almost everybody.
What about MacDuff? Does MacDuff get to command the Enterprise?
I think he does it. I don't want to do spoilers for season 5.
Okay, that's fair.
But there are compelling circumstances where Picard is not on the. He has to go to Romulus for reasons, and so I think MacDuff takes command then.
Yeah.
So
he's like, look and see here. Look, he's got props. He's like, all right, listen. I kind of gave you a hard time. He's like, I didn't feel like you gave me a hard time. It's like, well, you weren't looking, but like I was giving you like I was mad dogging you like the whole time. Like every time you said something, I was mad dogging you. You may not have noticed it because you're a good guy, but I need to apologize.
That is one reason people love TNG so much, is that Worf is like, hey, look, I did a thing and I'm sorry. And Picard's like, hey, think nothing of it. People trust each other in the Next Generation. There's not a lot of sniping or like tit for tatting or things like that.
Accusing people of being the devil because they have pointy ears.
None of that. None of that. So, well, some of that. But mostly. Yeah.
I wonder if Data is kind of like, man, I miss being a bartender. Like, I imagine you just switch. It's like, hey, bartender, you're actually our lieutenant operations officer or whatever. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. And he just kind of like jumps into that role. But like, I wonder if it's like a subroutine in his head. He's like, man, making drinks is easier.
he likes doing new things. Yeah. So he probably loved being a bartender. He's very pleasant. He's very likable. Maybe not much for chit chat, but he's a good listener, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
So, it's also important enough that his systems are analogous enough to biological systems that he's not affected by that he is affected by the scanny thing.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting. You know, that's I thought that was neat because like when they were talking about, like when you get the reveal that everyone like loses their memory, I'm thinking like, well, wait a minute. So like Data should be fine, right? But he isn't. And so it's kind of like they're saying that if you can make an android that can work like Data with other humans, then he's going to be so close to human that he'll be affected similarly.
And that is a great thing about Data, which they kind of play it either way depending on what the plot needs, which I don't begrudge.
Yeah.
But they kind of forget it later on in TNG's life cycle. But yeah, no. Well, I could say the movies are crap, but I mean, spoilers.
Yeah, no, I think I remember that, you know, when we were in high school and beyond.
It's just, I mean, I've watched these movies multiple times since then. I've matured, I've changed. I've gone from liking TNG to being like, why was Picard raise the shields and shoot at everyone who's suspicious? To like being more mature and being like, oh yeah, no, there's some deeper stuff going on here.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, that whole time those movies were terrible.
This whole like onesie pantsuit thing is really weird. I mean,
this thing she wears, it's not a f***ing uniform that you're talking about?
Yeah, exactly. Like it almost has bell bottoms, but then like it doesn't have like any kind of like her shape is like on display for everyone to see. But then it's not flattering to that shape at all. Like it's like, you know, that's kind of like what civilian clothes are supposed to kind of do, generally speaking. It's like make you feel comfortable, but also kind of like accentuate the things you like and hide the things you don't. I mean, she's an attractive woman, so it doesn't matter. But like that garment she's wearing is not doing her any favors, is what I'm saying.
It's a catsuit. It's messed up.
Yeah. It's
not professional.
Yeah.
And the entire Star Trek fandom rejoiced whenever she was finally made to wear a uniform.
Yay!
And I'm going to go on about it at the time. I will probably say these exact same words, but Marina Sirtis, who plays Counselor Troy, is like, yeah, as soon as I started wearing that uniform, I could solve problems. I could command the ship. There were so many things the writers let me do after I started wearing a proper Starfleet uniform. And how women are treated is worthy of so much discussion.
It's still a thing? It seems like it wouldn't have been a thing still.
It's a different thing.
Okay.
It's a developed thing. It's an improved thing.
What are you doing, Riker? You're flirting with 2 women?
Yeah, well, he's lost his memories. He's trying to...
Did he lose his memory of, like, the past 10 minutes?
Riker's a dog in this episode, and there's no justification for it. There's absolutely none.
Oh.
I just...
Look at him, that shitty grin. He's like, oh...
Riker's known for his libido. They kind of split off the Kirk character, right? Like all the responsible command things end up in Picard, and kind of the womanizing,
the desire to run honeypots.
Yeah, And because no one has a memory, they use the props a lot to try to establish characters.
Yeah, I like that. I hope that like they have like a. I hope there's a thing where it's like, hey, episode that was like, there's a prop that was centered to an episode, and then wow, that's kind of creepy. Like
it's not creepy if women do it, Derek.
No, it's pretty much creepy when anyone does it. Like, the only reason why some people might say it's not creepy when women do it is because of the assumption that a guy can defend himself. But if she's got a gun, that doesn't matter. I mean, if she doesn't have a gun, if she just like knows enough about like how to like, you know, punch him in his throat, basically, then
look, she's Rolaren. She's a Bajoran woman that grew up during the occupation, which we'll explore later.
Oh wow,
she could take down Riker.
Oh yeah,
so
that's funny. Then yeah, he should be. Well, I guess he shouldn't be because he doesn't know that. But
if the roles were reversed,
oh yeah, that would be creepy as fuck. Because you know, well, I mean,
you
like
would also be forced to picture Jonathan Frakes with his back hair in that '90s.
Okay, so now I kind of want the rules to be reversed.
Takes a little out. But we can checkmark the sci-fi tick box for sexually aggressive women.
See, sometimes, yeah, right. You know, all we need is like a super manic pixie dream girl or whatever it's called.
Okay, one. I will say many things about Rolaren, but she is not a manic pixie girl.
No, and I think that's great.
Yeah, it is good. She's good.
You know, but I mean, like, nerds are all like, oh man, I wish there was just a girl that was aggressive so I didn't have to make all the moves because it's super hard targeting people. Hey, fun fact. Yeah. Everyone doesn't like talking to people. You have to put in the work if you want to like have meaningful relationships with people. Men or women, doesn't matter.
So, that is true. And it's...
I'm saying that as a teenage nerd who had that very same, you know, had the very same notion. Like, oh, I wish aggressive girls would just ask me out because I'm scared.
It is easy to want other people to take the initiative.
Yeah.
And that's part of like some of the more problematic sci-fi tropes, but it's like second level stuff. It's like, wow, you've managed to see women as people who can aggressively jump on your dick. Well, it's progress.
Yeah, I was like, well, we took one step forward, did we? We took one step forward.
We took a step forward. There's like a step or two forward. Now we're here again. So,
some mega jewels.
Yeah, we should probably talk about like the central theme of this episode, which is the fact that they have no memories.
Yeah, so now they gotta go like blow something up.
Yeah.
MacDuff's trying to like speak some sense into these dudes.
That's what MacDuff does. He's a stick in the MacDuff is what he is. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention he is an obvious Shakespeare reference to Macbeth.
Oh really?
He's a Macbeth reference. Yeah, MacDuff is one of the guys from Macbeth.
Oh well, I'm not up on all my Shakespeare, so.
All right, I will half apologize for that. But it's Macbeth. I don't.
Yeah, no. I get it. I mean, I don't have a great memory of like characters and all, but I have read and seen Macbeth.
If you read Macbeth up to the part with the witches, Macduff is in there.
God, look how powerful that is, huh? Like that's kind of that's another interesting like show don't tell powerful thing because like the Enterprise just hit you. You had full shields. We blew through them and destroyed you in one shot.
That wasn't combat so much as a control alt delete.
It was like.
Undo enemy ship. There we go.
Yeah, exactly.
Undo.
Yeah, and like
and that is
Picard doesn't look too happy about that for sure.
He doesn't, and that's the thing is that these people are the Enterprise is very powerful, but they're not a ship of war. I know we'll talk about that later, and they're not all about using force to solve their problems. A lot of TNG is people sitting in one of 3 or 4 rooms debating whether or not what they're doing is right. What's that?
They said beige-colored rooms.
Yes. Oh, no, they're all beige-colored.
Well, I mean, and I like that, though, because, you know, sci-fi, good sci-fi, is generally high-minded, I think. You know, like there's some concept you have to wrestle with. Like, even if you are shooting lasers and all that kind of stuff, at its core, the conflict is usually has something that doesn't have an easy answer.
Yeah, there's an idea, and the reason it's a compelling idea is because it's complicated and it needs to be talked about.
Yeah.
And Star Trek is definitely, if Star Trek is nothing else, it is taking science fiction and science and showing it to the average American viewer.
Yeah, which is good stuff. Good stuff for sure.
Yeah. So there are even episodes where it's mostly drama like this one. but it takes a science fiction concept of, what would you do if you had no memories? This is Dark World, but for Star Trek.
Yeah.
Right? If you have no memories, who are you really?
Right. Well, and I like the concept because it is like we're essentially kind of functions that we process stimulus and we have an output. But there's a variable in that function where it's all of your previous experiences, and so if you remove that, then you kind of see like, hey, this is what the function graph looks like without like this noise.
Yeah. Equating memories to noise is something I can definitely get behind. But let's talk about Data considering like 3 possibilities of its existence, and the most heartbreaking one is true.
Oh.
Like, you want to cry for Data so much in this series.
Yeah. And, I like how there's something appealing to me about him being able to... They're all kind of like soul-searching possibilities.
Yeah.
And he just kind of recounts them as a matter of fact. And there's something pleasing about that to me. I don't know exactly what it is. But...
The
Please tell me I see a... Oh, go ahead.
This is passionate analysis of facts.
Yeah, it's like it kind of points to competence, I guess.
Mm.
Do we see more of like Geordi and Data? Like, just this looks like a bromance of something, or like just them like figuring stuff out.
They end up like Troy and Abed, basically.
Yes.
they end up being bros.
Geordi and Data in the morning nights.
I can get you that fan art that exists.
That does exist. Excellent. Oh, that's good.
That's good. I'll be honest, Geordi's a little underdeveloped in this series, but it's still good. It's still, that's one of the stronger relationships of the series. This is another one. It's complicated. I will complain about it so much over the next 140, 150 episodes.
Okay, that's fair.
So I'll spare you now. But
what a nerd! Look at this. He's got a... Like, it's not a trumpet. I mean, it could have been a trumpet. It could have been a saxophone. But no, it's a... What do you call that? A tuba? It's not a tuba.
It's a trombone.
Trombone, that's it.
God, using my marching band fucking background. So yeah, no. And there's like a jazz... He likes jazz. I think they actually say it here. Early season, that's established. They don't really play with it a lot. TNG does that thing later on where all the characters kind of get hammered into like these flatter stereotypes. So really, like the trombone thing isn't nice. It's nice to remember that's still a part of who he is. It's nice to know the people who start to remember.
I like how there's like a like how there are these items that kind of exist around his room, and I really hope that some of those items are actually from previous episodes.
Yes,
Why are you going in for a kiss, you jackass? Didn't you just have sex with someone else?
Yeah, well, it's
the
future.
woman that just walked in.
It's fine. Good. She's very tall. She has a lot of blush on too. I don't know if it's like, this has been lightly remastered, so I don't know. All of these women are wearing so much blush. Is that a lot of blush?
I don't, dude. You're talking to the wrong person.
I mean, you look at women though, and they wear makeup, and that just seems like a lot of makeup.
Notice the makeup. The whole makeup thing. You're not supposed to notice it. It's supposed to like just kind of look natural.
Well, I do. Ergo, it's bad.
Yeah. Okay. Bad. Yeah, that's fair.
I
think blush is supposed to be like, hey, look, I'm. Actually, I don't really know what blush is supposed to do.
No, neither.
It's kind of weird just to begin with. It was probably a product of the 90s and no one ever thought about it afterward.
Yeah, it was acceptable in the 90s.
It was acceptable. Things were different. It was a different time.
It was a different time.
Shoulder pads. Look at all these shoulder pads. You don't see that anymore.
I know. I watched BoJack Horseman. I know all about the 90s. Notice that this episode is a mononym. So it's a obscure reference. So anyway, they're talking about the solution here. That's great. It's fantastic. So...
Yeah. So they're like, hey, listen, at the very least, we can try to like scan these dudes' heads. Look at MacDuff. Yeah. MacDuff's like, hey, look, I'll do it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. So
what's 3 dots mean? He's the same as Riker.
Yes, he is the commander.
Okay.
Picard, as the captain, is the commander of the ship, but commander's the next rank down. So because there are whole pips and there are like empty pips.
Okay.
I think Geordi and Data are lieutenant commanders, so they have like
that isn't very good convulsing acting. I'm just saying
it's acceptable. He's
like it looks like he's doing crunches, like trying to get his crunch on.
Okay, so one, he's cured MacDuff. Two, he's had his brain erased, and then three, he's having space stuff done to his brain. So, I mean, what is that convulsing supposed to look like, Derek?
Well, I'm just saying the acting. I'm saying the acting itself. The acting itself. If that was convulsions, it looked like he was just trying to get a quick 5 reps on his abs.
Look, that guy is an experienced actor. He's been on Major Crimes. He's been in Felicity. He was on NYPD Blue and 30-something, I presume, when he was 30.
He was on Felicity? Yeah, whoa, look at that smile.
Yeah, we're definitely getting some foreshadowing that maybe he's a little more sinister than we think.
Yeah.
I mean, although we suspected him of things. But,
what's he playing with? This is crystal. He's just like, oh, this was a jewel given to me by the people of Saris 5. It's their most highest honor, like throws in the garbage.
It's a random prop. And he's going to throw away the Kurlanoscos later, sir.
He's going to what?
It's an in-joke for you guys who are fans of guys who are fans of the things.
Yeah. See, I don't know exactly what that was, but it sounds funny to me.
Yeah. So, this is just a random thing. I mean, Picard of all people should have something to hold while stuff, but like I think part of it is that TNG is so kind of hands off. Like they don't touch things, they don't engage with things. It's hard to explain.
Yeah. I mean, as a fidgeter, I appreciate that because like I always gotta have something in my hands.
They don't collect stuff. They deliver speeches. They trade diplomats. So, like, what physical objects do they have that are the remnants of their adventures?
Well, I mean, we kind of talked about this a little bit. When the original series was kind of coming out, TV was still kind of had this newish kind of vibe where they were still making this transition from like the stage to like what we know as modern television. And so on the play, you don't get to really play with your hands because no one's going to see it.
Can we talk about MacDuff leveraging fear to make people do things? It's classic.
Yeah, man. And like, he's reminding Picard of like there's this kind of mission that he's got to do and he's doing it for the greater good. And Picard's like staring out a space window like, I don't know.
And the thing is that these people have a sense of right and wrong. They understand that they fundamentally outclass their enemies. And, can fear make them compromise on these principles?
I mean, fear's strong, and so it's really your mastery of fear that shows how disciplined you are, right? Because a normal civilian or just a normal person who doesn't kind of do any extra thinking on their own time can easily be, guided by fear, But you have to train yourself to recognize that, where fear is allowed and where fear isn't.
Yeah, you have to temper your emotions to obey your principles.
That's probably a better way to put it.
Emotions have a place. Here...
I'm not saying you shouldn't be afraid. I just mean, like, you have to know what fear looks like, and you have to not let it influence your decisions.
Yeah.
Especially when they are decisions that affect other people.
Yeah. So, Worf... it's interesting to see MacDuff shake down Worf for this.
Yeah. Especially he's like a short dude.
Okay, one. He is 6'4", Michael Dorn is. So everyone is a short dude next to Worf. What I find specious is MacDuff's assignment of himself to a warrior. Like, you play Call of Duty? Is that...
Yeah. It's like, listen, I'm max level in Call of Duty, okay? I have all of the achievements.
Oh, thank God.
And Dorn's like,
Call of Duty.
Man, I need to play more Call of Duty.
So I was like, come on, MacDuff is a human from Earth. How is he a warrior? So,
yeah, it's like a warrior in so much as humans can be warriors.
Yeah, like is your first?
I don't know anything. I don't know anything about like Klingons other than like, from what I understand in TNG, they're kind of like space dwarves. Even though Klingons in the original series are more like space barbarians.
Yeah, given that there are no follow-up questions about their society or economy, all Klingons are warriors.
See, and that's the part I like. I want questions about their economy and their society.
Weirdly enough, DS9 gets a lot of credit for what happens with Cleons, but TNG does like 80% of the Cleon development.
Yeah, like not from barbarians to actually having one on the bridge.
Well, yes, that is significant, but Jesus Christ.
Golly.
Sorry, it's like
I'm sorry. Was that an attack?
I feel like all those little ships were waiting like in orbit of a planet, and they're like, okay, so here's the deal. It's got to have high shields. We got to split main, do DPS, and then one of the ships is like, Leroy Jenkins. It's just like, no, it's a Galaxy-class starship.
See, this is what I love. Yeah, exactly. He's like, well, you just don't do that.
You gotta have a plan if you're gonna raid the Enterprise. Is what I'm saying. It's just
yeah. He's definitely like a top tier boss. There's gonna be some massive loot that drops when you take on the Enterprise.
So much loot, unique android parts.
Yeah, unique android. It's a low drop rate, but still
super low drop.
Android
rate.
Parts, yeah. Android parts are valuable.
They are. He figures one guy. Sorry.
Data's like, yeah, like I'm ready to go. Let's do this.
He's just naming out the numbers. So just like he named the crew that first ship they destroyed.
Yeah, he's just saying we're ready to go.
It humanizes people. It humanizes the enemy.
And here it is. MacDuff's like, hey, and then like Picard's like, stand by.
Yeah.
Did Worf?
Yeah.
It seems like Worf has like something to say about this as well. Like, didn't he say something about battleships earlier? Like,
one of them said that they were a battleship. I think Worf was naming off like their armament, and MacDuff was like, "Oh, it's a battleship," trying to plant the seed in everyone's minds that this is thing.
Yeah. I look at this dude.
He's sim too clear, man. It's all he's got left.
Michael Dorn's like, what? What you gonna do?
Yeah, and this is part of
the
long tradition of Worf allegedly being so tough, but not really being that tough. These are great effects. They last for seconds on screen.
Wait a minute, that isn't MacDuff.
They're putting like an alien thing onto like a moving human target, and it's really great. So MacDuff was an alien. MacDuff was an alien the whole time.
So, haha, we got you.
No, but the first time you watched this, when did you realize?
Yeah, I didn't know till the very end.
Yeah.
I was like, man, this... Because I thought, like, when they did the reveal, I was thinking, okay, like everyone else has kind of face recognition, but what about this dude? Like, and then when he did the, like, after the convulsion scene, and, like, he does, like, the finger tapping, like, looking at the camera and smiling, I'm like, okay, something's up with this dude.
Yeah.
And then... But I didn't know he was an alien. I just knew he was kind of working against everyone for whatever reason. And then I didn't realize like until they kind of explained like what was going down.
Yeah.
And then like I have so many questions. Like how did he get to the bridge? like there was like was he like kind of planted already and then he just like ran up to the bridge after a costume change like during the scanning? Like
he could have beamed aboard when they did the brain scan and everyone was out of it for a sec.
But I thought like they had their shields up. I guess the scan penetrated the shields.
Okay, then I'm going to go with dramatic license.
Okay,
that's going to be my answer to that then.
That's fair. Oh, you're about to have to answer for yourself,
this
sucko.
Scene, is this our denouement? Is that what this is?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. Yeah, it's awkward. I mean, Riker was an idiot here.
You better hope you're not doing anything wrong because they're about to lay a smackdown on you.
I've noticed there's a lot of fear about men when the women that they've had relationships with start talking to one another.
Well, it's only if you do something like, because even if it's like an old girlfriend, yeah, that's still true. Because it's just, if you do a thing and like,
is it because of like the intimacy of relationships makes you vulnerable? So when two people who know you on that vulnerable level get together,
yeah, because like you don't know what she knows, you don't know what she's talking about, and she has like the credibility of being an old girlfriend. So if she lies, if she's just like, oh yeah, like all he does is fart in bed like all the time, you're like, nah, and you don't have a problem with farting.
Yeah,
but so it's just an old girlfriend can definitely poison the mind of a new one.
All right.
But in this case, he's just a player, and he doesn't want his side hoe and his main hoe to like compare notes.
Well, I mean, Ro has a leg up on him now, right?
Yeah,
like, she's a subordinate. They're sort of enemies, and now Ro is
she's got some blackmail stuff now if she wants.
Yeah, she does. She's got a leg on him, And he gets stonewalled by his old friend Troy.
Yeah. So. Well, it's just, he's like, oh, man, I shouldn't have done that stupid thing. If I could only not think with my dick.
It's kind of a light comedic moment.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so.
It's a little messed up. Don't sleep with two people at once unless they know.
Yeah. Like, yeah, if you said, hey, listen, by the way, see, look, there's Whoopi Goldberg right there. Right there in the start.
In the big picture. Thing. I was looking at the little picture, because that next episode is Power Play. And let me tell you something about Power Play.
Whoopi Goldberg's not in it.
It's good. I'm just gonna spoil you one. Power Play is a good episode.
Okay.
Final thoughts on Conundrum.
It was good. You know, I do like how like I didn't know kind of what I didn't like they gave me enough pieces to know that something was wrong, but they didn't, you know, like a good horror movie, they didn't kind of reveal the final enemy until the very end.
Yeah,
and that's good. That's you know, it's kind of what I like from my conflicts. I wanted to be kept guessing.
So yeah, not every episode of TNG is Conundrum, but I think it's representative, in terms of just overall balance, and it's just good television. Everything about it is good.
Yeah.
So next week we are going to be watching Encounter at Farpoint Part 1, which is the first episodes of Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Okay. On the maiden voyage of the new starship Enterprise, the crew explores the mysteries surrounding the creation of Farpoint Station on the planet Deneb 4.
Deneb. Sorry.
Okay, that's fine. I don't really know too much about what's going to happen. It doesn't tell you much. I mean, Data has, like, I feel like Data's looking at Picard's chest for some reason. So maybe he's concerned.
They were young.
Yeah.
They were physically fit.
they both, Picard and Deanna are both looking kind of concerned. So they look like they're about to, I guess, looking at like a big, I don't want to say a monster, but just something that's very tall and concerning, whatever it is.
Okay.
And they don't look like they're on the Enterprise, because that is not Beige.
Oh yeah. Well, I guess we'll see next week. We'll meet all the characters from Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Good deal.
Next week, and until then,
remember Rand.
Hey, I'll make this less than 60 seconds because no one likes credits. Star Trek is owned by CBS Television Studios and Paramount Pictures. We're watching this on Netflix streaming, talking over Skype, and recording our conversation with Alamoto Call Recorder. All editing is done with Audacity, the free audio editor and recorder, and our files are hosted on vanvelding.com. With DreamPress hosting, run with WordPress. Thank you, and remember Rand. This has been a remastered episode of The Beige and the Bold Conundrum, originally recorded in October of 2016. This remastering was brought to you by our Senior Officer Patreons, Tracker by Moonlight, and Miss Jess. Thank you for your support.